This week we're going to be talking about the Northeast region of the United States. The region between the coast of the Atlantic Ocean and the Great Lakes is called the Northeast region. The Northeast region includes 11 states. The 6 upper states in the region are called New England states, and the 5 lower states are called Mid-Atlantic states. So if you look at this map, the northeast corner of the map that's highlighted in purple are your northeast states. And here are those same states. The Northeast region, the 6 upper states are New England states, they're in yellow. And your 5 lower states are your Mid-Atlantic states in that aqua color. Because the states are very close together, here's a quick little breakdown so you can see them individually. Okay, starting with the Mid-Atlantic states now. The land and water of the Northeast region. The Northeast region has broad valleys and rolling hills with a few low mountain ranges that are part of the Appalachian Mountains. Okay, so remember that Appalachian Mountain range started way down in the southeast region in Georgia and goes all the way up through the Northeast. Several mountain ranges make up the Appalachian Mountains, including the Allegheny Mountains, the Pocono Mountains, the Adirondack Mountains, and the Catskills. So just like the other map in the landforms for Southeast region, this map key is telling us what features are in the area. Notice a lot of brown and tan. You have a lot of hills and mountains. The Appalachian Mountains are one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world. Although they used to be very tall, they are much smaller now. Over time, water, wind, and ice have caused them to slowly break down. Now the peaks of the Appalachian Mountains are smooth and rounded. The longest hiking trail in the world is the Appalachian Trail. It goes from Maine down to Georgia, stretching over 2,000 miles of valleys, hills, and rivers. Mount Washington in New Hampshire is part of the Appalachian Mountain Range. At 6,288 feet tall, Mount Washington is the highest peak in the Northeast. On a clear day, visitors can see for 100 miles. Mount Washington has some of the world's most severe weather, though. It could snow all year long. The peak is also one of the windiest places on Earth. The highest wind speed ever recorded was 231 miles per hour. The landscape of the Northeast region changes from the rocky coast of the New England states to the fertile farmland of the Mid-Atlantic states. The New England portion of the region does not have much fertile land suitable for farming. Long ago, mile-thick sheets of ice called glaciers covered much of the land. As the glaciers moved across the land, they wore down mountains, carved deep grooves into the coastline, and carried away the fertile soil. Glaciers formed many lakes. Rocks and sand left by glaciers also formed islands and capes. Jagged cliffs rise up to 100 feet above the ocean of Maine's northern coast. Farmers in New England must choose crops that will work well in the rocky soil. There are many lighthouses along the rocky coastline of the Northeast region. The West Quoddy Lighthouse was built in 1858. Its light and foghorn keep ships from crashing into Maine's rocky shore. Lake Ontario and Lake Erie form part of the border of the northeastern region. Lake Ontario and Lake Erie are two of the 5 Great Lakes. The Great Lakes are a group of freshwater lakes located in the eastern North America, on the border between Canada and the United States. The Great Lakes hold 1/5 of all the fresh water in the world. As water flows out of the Lake Erie into Lake Ontario, it flows over Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is a 160-foot tall waterfall, the second largest waterfall in the world. The most important waterway in the region is the Erie Canal, which connects the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. A canal is a ditch that is dug across land to connect one waterway with another. The Erie Canal is 363 miles long. Work on the Erie Canal began in 1817 and was finished in 1825. Before the Erie Canal was dug, there was no waterway that crossed the Appalachian Mountains. Moving goods by boat is faster and cheaper than traveling across the land, so it was very difficult and expensive to move goods from the Northeast regions to other parts of the country without the Erie Canal. We're going to talk about the climate of the Northeast. Okay, so when we talk about the climate, we're talking about the weather conditions that usually occur in the area. We're talking about the temperature, rain, wind, the Northeast, snow. The Northeast region is about halfway between the North Pole and the equator. The Northeast region's location affects its climate. It has a varied climate with 4 seasons each year. Winters there are long and cold. Snowstorms are common. The temperature becomes colder as you travel northward. Summers are warm but short compared to those in the southeast. The climate affects the people, animals, plants that live there. People cope with the cold winters. Animals' food supplies change with the seasons. Squirrels bury nuts to dig up in winter. Bears and other animals hibernate. Remember those adaptations that we talked about in science? They sleep for up to 100 days. Trees like maples and oaks drop their leaves each winter to survive the lack of water. Products and natural resources. Okay, so remember, a product is something that is made by people using the resources available. A natural resource is something that comes directly from nature. People in the Northeast use natural resources to get the things that they want to make the goods to sell. The Northeast region has a lot of forests, and logging is an important industry there. Trees are cut down to make houses, paper, furniture, and fuel. Granite and marble from Maine and Vermont are used to make buildings. Vermont has the largest granite quarries in the country. Coal is mined in Pennsylvania. The Northeast region has many rivers and waterfalls. This was very important in the growth of the region because the power produced by the running water made it possible for people to build mills or factory. By using water-driven power, people could run machines and make things much faster than people could at home by hand. Today, factories use other sources of power instead of water power, but the Northeast region continues to be an important manufacturing center. Iron, glass, and steel are produced in New York and in Pennsylvania. Lots of chemicals, such as shampoos, paints, and medicines, are also made in New Jersey. The soil in part of the Northeast region is rocky, and the growing season is short. But some fruits and vegetables are grown in the Northeast. In Maine, farmers grow blueberries and potatoes. Other farms produce chickens and flowers. Vermont is known throughout the world for its delicious maple syrup produced from the sap of the sugar maple tree. Vermont's land is also good for raising dairy cows. Cranberries are grown in sandy marshes in the New Jersey and Massachusetts area. Massachusetts is called the cranberry capital of America because it produces nearly 2 million barrels of cranberries a year, which grow in moist, wet bogs. The Atlantic Ocean is an important resource for fish, lobster, and shellfish. Fish farming is called aquaculture. Fish are raised on farms and are sold for the purpose of eating. This helps protect the population of fish that are born in the natural environment. There is beautiful scenery throughout the Northeast region. Many tourists visit the Northeast region in the fall to see the brightly colored autumn leaves. This region also contains huge cities, such as Boston, New York, and Philadelphia, each with wonderful museums, shopping, theaters, and the arts. The capital of the United States is located in the Northeast region. The capital city is called Washington, D.C. D.C. stands for District of Columbia. The White House, the Capitol Building, the Supreme Court, and many other government buildings are located in Washington, D.C. President George Washington chose the location of Washington, D.C. as the capital of the United States in 1791. 100 years ago, Milton Hershey started a candy business in Hershey, Pennsylvania. He used a system called mass production. Mass production is a way of making large amounts of the same product. The Hershey bar was America's first mass-produced candy bar. Today, Hershey's factory is the largest chocolate factory in the world. New York City is the largest city in the United States. To make room for all these people, New Yorkers have begun building skyscrapers. The first skyscraper was built over 100 years ago. People live and work in these very tall buildings. The Empire State Building is New York's most famous skyscraper. This office building has 102 stories of floors. Millions of tourists visit New York every year. They enjoy museums and plays. They visit famous places like the Statue of Liberty. Two of our most popular sports were invented in the Northeast region. basketball was invented in 1891 in Massachusetts. You can visit the Basketball Hall of Fame there. 4 years later, a man named William Morgan invented the volleyball in Massachusetts. A group of people called the Amish live in Pennsylvania and surrounding areas. Because of their religious beliefs, they do not use electricity or telephones in their homes or use cars or tractors. They travel by horse and buggy. Clam chowder, crab cakes, lobster, and seafoods are among the Northeast's most popular foods. Because there are so many dairy farms in this region, people eat a lot of dairy products too. In fact, Northeasterners eat more ice cream per person than any other region in the United States. And finally, for the Northeast region, baked beans, potato chips, and buffalo wings were all invented in the Northeast region.